Good afternoon to all. We can start, I think so. Where we ended in the last class? Friends, give me a hint. Good afternoon, friends. Give me a hint where we ended in the last class. We ended with the world between the wars, I know. The topic what we discussed in the last class was the world between the wars. In the world between the wars, where we ended? So, components of New Deal. Okay. Components of New Deal, Bolsheviks were suppressed. Components of New Deal. We have listed the components of New Deal, only subtopic alone mentioned. That is what I'm mentioning. Whether we discuss, if we completed United States of America, so we ended with United States of America, I think so. So in the last class, I ended with the components of New Deal. So that means we have completed United States of America. Next thing, we are moving towards Africa. After Africa, we are going to United States, USSR, Russia, that is USSR. After that, we are going to the West Asia. After West Asia, that is moving to Southeast Asia, and then we are going to come back to that is to Germany and Italy. That is what I told you before I starting the world between the wars. Okay, now we are moving towards Africa. So the next thing what we are going to discuss is Africa. Africa, the world between the wars. The world between the wars. World between the wars, 1919 to 1939. So we are going to see Africa. What was this Africa after the First World War? What was the position of this Africa after the First World War? This Africa, okay, some new developments were started in this African continent. What was the thing? The first point in the African continent was the emergence of African nationalism. The emergence of African nationalism. Okay. Emergence of African nationalism. Why? What was the reason for the emergence of the African nationalism in the African continent? Because in the past history, Africa was ruled by Europeans. Africa was ruled by European countries. Okay. Africa was ruled by the Europeans. And the presence of foreigners, the presence of the foreigners, Europeans means nothing but I'm mentioning them as a foreigners only. The Europeans, I just mentioned them as a foreigners. Okay. The presence of foreigners in the African continent created a lot of changes. And the next one, World War I brought the nationalism in African continent. The World War I brought the nationalism in the African continent. Why? What is the reason for the emergence of nationalism among the African continent? See, this Africa was ruled by the Europeans, and where these European countries recruited during the time of the First World War, the Germans recruited from German colony. The British recruited from the British colony. The French recruited from the French colony. So what all these European countries did it was they recruited from the colonies of the respective European countries and they take them outside African continent. Okay. The Britishers took the colonies from the British colonies from African continent outside Africa, and they went and fight for British in the European continent. They saw the European continent first time. They see how people was living there, how people was liberally living there, and how the world was outside Africa. And they realized that we only ourselves was being as a slave. we are being kept as a colonies by these European countries. So first thing, these peoples are fighting for their liberty, but they are keeping us as like a colony. So first thing, we need to liberate from the Europeans. So there was emerging nationalism among the European continent. There was a emerging nationalism among the African nations after the First World War. First point, emergence of African nationalism. Okay, clear? Next one, next point. Friends, wait. Connection correct irukappa? Okay, inga mobile connect agala. Friends, wait for a few seconds. Friends, wait for a few seconds. No. Illa. Wait. So the emerging African nationalism in the African continent, first thing. Okay, so the first thing after First World War in the African continent was emerging nationalism among the African nations. This African nationalism is against whom? Against the Europeans who was ruling them, still exploiting the resources, still keeping them as slaves, still exploiting them for the merry resources and keeping them as slaves. First point. The second one, in the African continent after the First World War, they realized that if you want to get independence, if you want to drive these foreigners out of African continent, we need a political platform. So they started a political platform or a organization for the African continent. So the first organization established in the African continent after the First World War was Pan-African Congress. Pan-African Congress, like our Indian National Congress. Pan-African Congress, a political platform. This political platform for what? This is the political platform for getting independence. Pan-African Congress. That was called as Pan-African Congress. So a political platform for getting independence from the Europeans. That is what the next important things happened in the African continent. Like our Indian National Congress from modern India, understand. Like our Indian National Congress in modern India, just you understand. Okay. Okay. The third one. They started a movement to project and promote the African culture outside African continent. They promote the culture of the African peoples or the African culture outside African continent. So for that, they started a movement that was called Negrotide movement. Negrotide movement. This Negrotide movement is a cultural movement. What is that cultural movement? Promoting African culture. That is promoting African culture. What African culture? The African literature, the African song, the African cuisine, and the African tribals, language, and like these things, they started to promote the African, because they thought that why these Europeans are keeping African people as a slave. The only reason for keeping them as a slave by the Europeans was their color. The color is the most important thing. Racism. They are black people and the Europeans are white. White and black problem. White and black, that is a racism. So first thing, we must not feel this black color as an inferior. We must be proud of this black color, the African people thought. So first thing, we have to take this as a positive one, the black. And black is considered to be as a proud, and our black culture is considered to be as a proud one. So first thing, we have to promote what we have, very good thing in the African culture. We have to promote these to the outside world, like this only, how the pop music, the jazz music were spread across the world, particularly in United States of America. Particularly in the United States of America. That is how the African people went to the European continent, and they have sent their music, their literatures and other thing. Okay, so that is what we called it as a Negrotide movement, a cultural movement to promote African culture. African culture of language, the African culture of the language, literature, music, like that. Okay. Wi-Fi என்னாச்சு? So language, literature and music, that is what we called it as a Negrotide movement. Okay. Okay. Next thing, what they did it. Okay. Fourth one. They started certain associations outside Africa to promote African independence. That is what, for example, we have got the East Indian London Association. In modern India, you have come across many associations outside India working for Indian independence, and they have promoted Indian independence, and they gathered supports, European support, British support, American support, and also the French support. Like this, they gathered support. In every place, they started certain organizations there. They started organizations, okay, like that. They started many organizations outside Africa to promote African independence. That was called National Association for the Colored People. Okay. National Association for the Advancement. I forgot advancement. National Association for the Advancement of the Colored People. That is NAAC. That is by D.B.E. Boys. That is a person who started that. That was the name of a person. National Association for the Advancement of the Colored People, NAACP. That was Colored People. That is D.B.E. Boys. That was the name of a person which started. It was started in Paris only. Which worked and promoted for African independence and African nationalism, to support for African independence outside Africa. That is one thing. And the another one was Universal Association for the Negro people. That was UANP. UANP, Universal Association for the Negro People. That was started by Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey. That was a person. So these were associations which started outside Africa. Outside Africa to gather support for African independence. African independence. Okay. This is what the new development took place in African continent, outside Africa and also inside Africa after the First World War. Okay, this is what the new development. This is what happened in Africa. Okay, only 4 points are there. Okay, Pan-African Congress, emerging African nationalism, and that is the starting of association and promoting African culture outside African continent. Promoting African culture outside African continent. This is what the new development took place in African continent after the First World War. Clear? Friends, are you clear? Can we move to the next one? UAP, it was started in, that was also in European continent. That was also started in European continent. We don't know where it was started. I think so it was started in Germany around, or USA, I think so. That is not much important, UAP. Okay, it was started in Europe only. All these were started in Europe only. Who started all these things? These were the people, boys, Marcus Garvey. All these are the African people. They were the African elite, like our moderators of modern India, who were elites of India, went to England and they got the British education. They came back to India and they started to fight against the Britishers here in India. Like that, same concept was also applied here. These peoples were the elite Africans, educated Africans, who went to Europe for education, and later after the First World War, they started for the African nationalism. That you understand. Clear? Okay. This is what the question that was asked in 2017. This is the question that was asked in 2017. What was the role of the educated Africans for the African nationalism in the African nationalism after the First World War? This is what the question they have asked in 2017. Clear? Understand? Okay. Particularly these names you have to write it, and along these things you have to write these 4 points. Then it is the answer for that question. I will show you even if you want, I will show you the question paper itself. There is no problem. 2017 or 18, I think so. Okay. Then 18. Where it is? Wait, friends, I will show it to you. Then I have started it. Here, the seventh question. The seventh question. The anti-colonial strugglers in West Africa were led by the new elites of West-educated Africans. This is the question. The anti-colonial struggle in West Africa was led by the new elites of Western-educated Africans. So you have to mention and write the names of these persons, Marcus Garvey and Boyce, and the policy what they followed. Then you have to write it. You have to write the names of the person. So here the mark is for the fact. Okay, this is what the question that was asked in 2016 question paper, I think so. Yes, 2016 question paper. Clear? So that was the question asked from in 2016 from this part. Africa is completed. Africa is over. Next thing we are moving, as I told you, we are going to see USSR. We are going to see the USSR. Next thing, USSR, we are going to see USSR. Okay. What was the new development in the USSR? Okay. Russian Revolution took place in Russia. Russian Revolution. Okay. In the Russian Revolution, 1917, October Revolution. October Revolution. We saw that. Okay. In this October Revolution, Lenin formed the Bolshevik state. Lenin formed the Bolshevik state. Once Lenin formed the Bolshevik state, the ideology of this Bolshevik state was communism. The idea of this Bolshevik state was communism. We know that. Then, communism is an enemy to whom? Communism was an enemy to capitalism. Opposite. So, that was communism was an enemy to the capitalism. Now, the capitalist countries, who are the capitalist countries? Western European countries. West, we simply call them as West. The Western countries, not like the Bolshevik state, which was formed in Russia by means of October Revolution with the leadership of Lenin. Now, what they are planning in 1917, Russian, still it is in World War, understand? Still we are in, still this part of World War is continue here. And once this Bolshevik state was formed, they tried to remove this Bolshevik state by this capitalist. And what happened in 1917 was foreign invasion in Russia. Foreign invasion. Who were these foreign countries which invaded in Russia? They were nothing but the Western European countries. Why? Why they are invading in Russia? Two reasons they are saying for the invasion. One reason. They are compelling Russia to come back for World War I. Russia to participate in World War I. Russia to participate in World War I. What Lenin did is when he win the Bolshevik Revolution, that is the October Revolution, he withdraw Russia from the World War I. Understand? Friends, you understand? He withdraw Russia from the World War I. But the Western countries are saying, what they are saying, you are an ally country, you are one of the friendly country in the World War I of British and France. How you can go without our permission? You come for war. They are compelling Russia for involving in the World War I. So they are invading in Russia to compelling Russia to once again to join Russia in the World War I. That is one reason. And another reason why they are invading in Bolshevik means Lenin came to power by means of a military coup. That is a coup. That is a coup. So he came to power by means of a coup. So this is not a government. The provincial government was think it of Russian Revolution. Alexander Kerensky. He was a elected. He was a legal government, but this Lenin government was not a legal government. It was a illegal, that was came to power by means of coup. So what these Western European powers did it was, the Western European powers wanted to eliminate this Bolshevik state by means of foreign invasion. That is called based on two reasons. One was to compelling Russia to invade in World War I, and another one, this Bolshevik state established by means of a coup. So we have to remove this communist state under the leadership of Lenin. So with that intention, objective, they are invading in Russia. That is in 1917. Simultaneously, this is happening on one side. This was happening on one side. On the other side, Tsar, family members, his brother, cousin, the nobles, the military generals, all these are gathered on one side, and they are also trying to remove this Bolshevik state. That is that group, what we called it as anti-Bolshevik revolution. Anti-Bolshevik revolution. Anti-Bolshevik revolution. Understand? Friends, or you understand? Two situations are happening in Russia in 1917. One is foreign countries invading in Russia, and they are trying to ending this Bolshevik state, which is headed by Lenin, because its ideology is communism. For what reason they are invading in Russia? They are invading in Russia, compelling Russia to involve in World War I. Second one, Lenin came to power by means of coup. This is not a legal one. So we have to establish a democratic country there. So with these two intentions, they are invading in Russia. On the other side, another forces also gathering there. The royal family members, nobles, military generals under the Tsar have gathered one group, and they formed one group, and they started to protest this Bolshevik state, Lenin government. That is anti-Bolshevik revolution. Very simple. They want to once again bringing back the Tsar government. Simple. They can enjoy all the privileges. They can enjoy all the privileges. That is what the anti-Bolshevik revolution. Okay, this is what the scenario in 1917. This foreign invasion continued from 1917 till the World War of 1918. When World War ended in 1918, all these foreign countries were withdrawn from Russia, and this was ended in 1918. So with the end of World War, foreign invasion was also ended. The Bolshevik army, the Russian army, fighted against the foreign countries, fighted against the foreign army till 1918. That was ended once the World War ended. But the Lenin's Bolshevik state continued to fight against this anti-Bolshevik revolutionary parties, that is the royal family members. We called them as a White Russians. We called them as a White Russians, or we called it as a White Russian Revolution, another name. White Russian Revolution. We also call them as a White Russian Revolution. Okay, understand? Okay. So this Bolshevik state, anti-Bolshevik state, this scenario, fight between the Bolshevik state and anti-Bolshevik revolution continued from 1917 till 1921. Till 1921. In 1921, the Lenin and his Bolshevik army completely arrested and suppressed this anti-Bolshevik revolution, and Russia was in peace only in 1921. Friends, are you understand it? I think you are clear. One is foreign invasion ended along with World War I, one scenario. Second scenario, the royal family members, friends, military generals, nobles, all those wanted to once again bringing the Tsar government. So they formed a group and they revolted against the communist state. That was called the anti-Bolshevik revolution. We also call them as White Russians revolution. Clear? And this continued from 1917 till 1921. Understand that? So everything was ended in 1921. Lenin introduced in 1921. Now all his political problem was over. No foreign invasion, no more problem from the royal family members or these royal family members and all these things. Every problem was over. Now Lenin concentrating on the economic development of Russia. He concentrated on the economic development of Russia. What was the economic development he introduced? The economic development he introduced in Russia in 1921 was new economic policy. New economic policy. What is this new economic policy? This new economic policy was nationalization. Nationalization. Everything is belonging to the nation. No private property, no private ownership, no private industries, no private nothing there. Everything belong to the nation. Everything belong to the nation. Everything would be decided by the nation only. Nationalization. Next thing, all the lands were collected. Understand? All the lands were collected by the state and they formed a big land form that is belonging to the state. Okay. Now we are having private ownership of land. We are having today private ownership of land, but that was not in the case of Russia in 1921 under new economic policy. Every land is belonging to the, all land belonging to state, and they collected all the land and they brought under the state control. That is what we called it as a collectivization. Collectivization. Collectivization means bringing land under state control. Land under state control. Under state control. Collectivization. That is what we called it as a collectivization. Clear? Collectivization. Next thing, corporatization. Corporatization. He introduced corporatization in Russia. 1921. He introduced corporatization in Russia. That is what. Okay. So he introduced the nationalization, he introduced collectivization, and he introduced the corporatization. So that is what the new economic policy which was introduced by Lenin. That was introduced by Lenin in 1921. After whether what was the impact of this, what was the impact of this new economic policy? Actually, the new economic policy started to work well. It started to give a great economic. Started to give a great economic advantage for the Russia. They become one of the largest agricultural producers in the European continent after 10 years. That was because of this new economic policy. Okay, this is one thing. And one more. 1921. And Lenin died in 1925. Lenin died in 1925. Here it was new economic policy, NEP, new economic policy. Lenin died in 1925. After the death of Lenin, there was a vacuum. No one had any leadership in Russia. Now there was a struggle for leadership, and that was by two personalities. Struggle for leadership in Russia between two personalities in Russia. from 1925 till 1929, that was by power struggle between two, between whom and whom? One was by Joseph Stalin, and the another one by Trotsky. This Trotsky was he was an advisor to Lenin. The Trotsky was an advisor to Lenin. He was like second man in the Russia until the death of Lenin. He was the second man in Russia until the death of Lenin. Everyone thinks that Trotsky would become the president of Russia after the death of Lenin, but that completely changed. Stalin completely changed the entire scenario there. He was also contested to become the president. Because of that, there was a power struggle in Russia after the death of Lenin between Joseph Stalin and Trotsky. And Trotsky died in 1929. He died in 1929. He died. Actually, he was assassinated. He was killed by Stalin only. He was killed by Stalin. And 1929, Stalin introduced the 5-year plan. Stalin introduced the 5-year plan. Stalin, once with the death of Trotsky, Stalin became the president of Russia and he introduced the 5-year plan. Stalin introduced the 5-year plan. This 5-year plan and the new economic policy which was introduced by Lenin was considered to be as a great advantage for Russia, which was going to emerge as a great successful country. It was going to emerge as a great successful country during the time of the Second World War. Okay. So, after First World War, what are the new developments in Russia means? One is Western European countries invasion. Second one, anti-Bolshevik revolution. After ending all these things, Lenin introduced new economic policy for the economic growth of Russia, for the economic development of Russia. And with the death of Lenin, power struggle between the two, between Stalin and Trotsky. And in 1929, with the death of Trotsky, Stalin became the president of Russia and he introduced 5-year plan. So, with this, Russia was going to emerge as a greatest power in the European continent, one of the superpower. It is going to emerge. Understand? So, one more thing that was happened in Russia. In 1920, from 1921 till 1925, there was a conference held in Moscow that was called Communist International Market. Communist International Conference. Communist International Conference. We called it as Comintern. Communist International. Comintern. C-O-M-M. I think so. Yes. Wait. Communist International. That is what we called it as a Comintern. What was the purpose of this communist, where it was held? It was a conference held at Moscow. From 1921 to 1925, the series of conference was held there. What was the purpose of this Comintern? The objective of the Comintern was to establish a social revolution around the world. Social revolution. And to spread communism. and to spread communism and ending capitalism, ending capitalism, liberating colonies, liberating the colonies from capitalism, from capitalist. So, if they wanted to end capitalism, these two objectives, this is first objective and this is second objective and third objective and this is the fourth objective. If they want to achieve the third and the fourth objective, first thing they have to bring a revolution and spreading communism. That is the only possible way. Understand? That is the only possible way. So communism around the world, by spreading communism around the world, we have to bring social revolution. With this social revolution, they have to end communism and they have to end capitalism. They have to end the capitalism in the colonies. That is liberating the colonies. That is what, okay? That is what the objective of the Communist International. Okay. Who were all participated in this conference? From India, it was participated by M.N. Roy. From China, it was participated by Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong. From Indochina, it was participated by Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh. From Indonesia, it was participated by Sukarno. Sukarno. Understand, in these countries, India, China, Indochina, Indonesia, communism was going to spread. And who is going to sponsor for this communism? This Communist International Conference. Who was running this Communist International Conference? USSR. Russia. So, Russia was going to spread communism and that was going to create a social revolution. By bringing social revolution wherever there is oppression and suppression. This social revolution is where? The social revolution is wherever there is suppression and oppression. So wherever there is oppression and suppression, they are going to bring the social revolution. Where there is oppression and suppression, naturally it was in the colonies. So they wanted to bringing the revolution around the world. That is what the objective of the Comintern. So naturally from India, a British colony, M.N. Roy participated. We know M.N. Roy only responsible for bringing Communist Party here in India. Okay. China, we know that it was ruled by foreign European countries. So naturally it was there is a possibility of bringing a social revolution. Indochina, ruling by whom? France. Ho Chi Minh bringing communism there in Indochina region, etc. That is Indonesia, ruling by whom? Dutch. So Sukarno was going to lead the Communist Party of Indonesia there. Naturally we can able to understand it. Okay. So here in this area, that is going to bring there. Okay. And in Africa, that was by Nkrumah. I write the point here. In Africa, that was by Nkrumah, participated. Nkrumah, a person, name of a person. Like Mao Zedong, like M.N. Roy, from African continent, in the Comintern, it was participated by Nkrumah. It was by Nkrumah. So that was in the case of USSR. That was in the case of USSR. Understand? Friends, are you understand? Friends, are you understand? Friends, respond for something. Can we go to West Asia? We end with Russia. Russia is ended. Two more countries in European continent. One is Germany, Italy. We come back to that later. Okay. Stalin were capitalism or socialism. Stalin, oh, why such a question? Such a question. Stalin is a socialist man. How can you bring Stalin to how can you bring Stalin to capitalism? Oh my God. Oh my God. You are saying like India, USA is accepting communism. Like that you are asking a question. Yes, he is a communist. Why such a question? Okay. Okay. Stalin is a socialist. He is a communist. Okay. So next thing we are moving to West Asia. Next thing we are moving to West Asia. We are moving to West Asia. Understand? I will bring a map for our help. Okay. Okay, see here, friends, see here. This was the Ottoman Empire. This was the Ottoman Empire. What happened to this Ottoman Empire? In the First World War, this Ottoman Empire was defeated. And what they did it, once the Ottoman Empire was defeated in the First World War, this Ottoman Empire was completely dissolved. Okay, we are dissolving the Ottoman Empire. Okay, what about the territories of the Ottoman Empire? This was brought as a Turkey. They created from the Ottoman Empire an independent country that is called Turkey. Here they have created an independent country called Turkey. What about the remaining part of this Ottoman Empire? This part of Ottoman Empire, because this is only existed in Ottoman after the First World War, during the time of the First World War. What about the land of this Ottoman Empire here? What to do with this one? Now, after the First World War, in the West Asia, they have separated it as a mandate. That is what we called it as a mandates. That is what we called it as a mandate. Okay, okay. See here, friends, see here. See the map here. See the map here. Independent Republic of Turkey. So they created Turkey here. What about the remaining part? What about the remaining part? The remaining part was divided by France and British as mandates. As mandates. That is what we see that in the League of Nations. We see that in the League of Nations mandate system. What does mean that mandate system? The defeated countries' colonies were brought under League of Nations. That is what we call it as a mandate. Next one, the Ottoman Empire dissolved. What about the remaining parts of the Ottoman Empire? Once after Turkey was created, they were brought under League of Nations. That is under the system that is called mandate system. Okay. Remaining territories of the defeated countries, the territories of the defeated countries' colonies were directly brought under League of Nations observation. That is what we called it as a mandate. Okay. Now you can ask a question, sir, why only France and British is sharing this mandate in the West Asia? See, League of Nations have only 2 permanent members by the time. Even though many other powers were there, they were not such a strong European power. One is British and France. USA was not a member. Germany was defeated. Russia was not a member. So only two strong powers in the League of Nations by the time was British and France. So they take a leading role. That's all. So they brought it as under the League of Nations as mandate, and they administrate it on behalf of League of Nations. Understand? They administrate it on behalf of League of Nations. What are the things? The present Syria as French mandate, and the present Iraq as British mandate. There is no problem in creating British mandate of Syria. British mandate of Mesopotamia, that is present Iraq. There is no problem in creating the French mandate of Syria. But when they create a British mandate of Palestine, this part, when they're creating the British mandate of Palestine, 2 peoples were claiming for that Palestine. One group of people was Jewish people, and the another one was Arabs. The Arabs. One was Jewish people and the another one was Arabs. Because the Jewish people have claiming that land as the God-gifted land to them. Historically, that was a thing. Historically, that land, the present Israel country, was God-gifted land for the Jewish people, and they never left that place. They never give up the place for anyone, because God himself or God itself was selected a land for the Jewish people to live in. That is this Middle East area. So the Jewish people are now claiming for a Jewish state for the Jewish people. Now they are claiming a separate state, a separate country for the Jewish people. And another people, son of the soil, Arab people, if you create Jewish people, then what about we people, the Arab people? What about the Palestine, we people, where we can go and live? No, you have to create a country for us also, for our people also. That is the Arab people, they are also claiming there, Palestine. Now confusion was there, whether to create a separate state country for Jewish or for the Arabs. Now British told that no, we are not going to create any country here for either Jewish people or Arab people. We are going to bring it under the British mandate. That is what we call it as a British mandate of Palestine. So that is what they created. No separate country for either Arab people or the Jewish people. It was brought under British, under the League of Nations. That is what we called it as a British mandate. Okay, so this was happened in 1920. Okay, what Jew people did it was, after 1920, slowly, Jew people, so Jewish people, you know that they were migrated all over the world and settled there, like present Indo-Sri Lankan people, the Tamil Sri Lankan people. Tamil Sri Lankan people are migrated all over the world and they settled everywhere else. And what is the one? And they're contributing for what? The Tamil Sri Lankan people are contributing, sending money for what? Friends, the Tamil Sri Lankan people are sending money for what? The Tamil Sri Lankan people are sending money and they're contributing and they're dreaming for what? Friends, respond something. I'm asking questions to you. To restore their place in Sri Lanka, Tamil Elam, yes, that's what. To restore their place in Sri Lanka and Tamil Elam, that is what. Like that, the Jew people are migrated because historically this place was under Ottoman. Historically, that place was ruled by either one of the foreign power. No Jewish people was there. They migrated all over the world and settled all over the world. They settled in US, they settled in Russia, they settled in Germany, France, elsewhere they were. But their only dream was one day we are going to go back our home country, which is God gifted to us. We are going to a land which is gifted by the God. God selected land we are going one day, they thought. Now what they did it was the Jewish people also was the richest people in the world. And the Jewish people here in the West Asia, with the support of the British, they created a bank. Under this bank, Jewish bank, this is a Jewish bank. Under this bank, they created a land bank scheme. What was the purpose of the land bank scheme which was created by this Israeli was, if you go and sell your land, they will give the money. You can go and give the land, they will give money to you. Or you can go and mortgage the land, they will give the money to you. That is what. See, what the Arab people did it was, you can ask a question, sir, whether people own land there? Yes, people have land there. Big people, big elite peoples have land there. Think it of like India. In India, during British was ruling here, we have zamindars. We have got Thakurs. We have got zamindars and Thakurs here in India. Thakurs here in India, that is zamindars. They have landowners. Still, some the Arab people was considered to be as landowners there. And what is this point? Okay, what is this place known for? This place is known for desert. We know still Israel is bringing water by means of technology because they don't have any water there. So if there is no water, there is no any agricultural productivity. So this land is a useless land. What this land bank scheme promoted was, see, this land is a useless land, nothing agricultural productivity there. If you sell the land to us, we give money to you. So the Arab people have mortgaged the land under the land bank scheme. That is what they got the land from the Arab people. Once the Jewish bank got land, 1 acre, 2 acre, 10 acre, 50 acres, 100 acres, like this, bit by bit, they got the land from the Arab people, and they have a very huge land disposal with them. Immediately what they did it, they brought many Jewish people from other countries and settled here. So when the land bank was started, after the land bank was started, they started to gather land. Once they gathered the land, Jewish immigration was in the West Asia. Jewish immigration, you know, immigration means coming back to the country. Many Jewish people come and settled here. Once the Jewish people came and settled here, the Arab people started to doubt over this one. Why these Jewish people are coming and settling here? What is the purpose of this one? And they realized very lately, oh, they are coming and settling for creating a country. This should not happen. What about what would happen for us to create a country for the Arab people? So now the Arab people are complaining to the British, don't allow the Jewish people to settle here. Don't allow the Jewish people to come and settle here. If they come and settled here, they are going to outnumber our Arab population. So that would be very convenient for creating a country for the Israeli people or Jewish people. Don't allow the Israelis. Don't allow the Jewish people. Don't allow the Israeli Jewish people. Don't allow. They keep on telling like that. Because of this, the British, because these Arab people started to make a riot, the law and order disturbance, riot, revolt, this was happening. What British government told it was, it appointed a commission. That was 1929. That was the 1936, sorry. 1936. Royal Commission. 1936 Royal Commission. 1936 Royal Commission. Palestine Royal Commission was appointed. What was the purpose of this commission? Whether to create a country for Jewish people or for the Arab people, Palestine people, whether we have to create it. That is the purpose. They appointed a commission. What this commission suggested was, we have created after 10 years. We can create it after 10 years. So now there is no change there. It is only British mandate. No country for Jew people, no country for the Palestine Arab people. And we will decide that after 10 years. But the entire problem is because of many Jew people come and settled here. No more Jewish people to immigrate here. They stopped the arrival of Jewish in the West Asia. The immigration is stopped. Immigration is stopped. Okay. So in the West Asia, new development was creating a new state, either for the Jewish people or for the Arab people, Palestine. That is in the case of West Asia. Friends, are you understand? Friends, are you understand? Friends, are you understand? Are you understand? Okay. So this is what happened here. So they brought it under mandate and they made it as a British mandate and they brought it as a Palestine mandate, British Palestine mandate and the French Syrian mandate. They bought it as a French Syrian mandate. And what happened here? What happened here? From 1925 onwards, Mesopotamian people are protesting against British. Mesopotamian people are protesting against the British here and they are objecting for British to rule them, and they are opposing for mandate. At last the British granted independence to them. In 1936 they have created Iraq. So Iraq was created in 1936. So Iraq was born. So Iraq was created in 1936. So in the West Asia, emerging nations was emerging. 1936 Iraq was created. Iraq was created. Okay. Iraq was created. Okay, next one. Next thing what happened? Next one. This is called Persia. I told you this was Persia. This was Persia. We see that in the imperialism and colonization period. We saw that in the imperialism and colonization period. We saw that as a Persia. Now, this Persia was ruled by a king called Aha Khan. Aha Khan. Aha Khan Ahamullah. Aha Khan Ahamanullah. Aha Khan Ahamanullah. Yes, immigration, not Jews migration. Jewish immigration was stopped by 1936. Jewish immigration was stopped in 1936 itself. They stopped because more and more Jewish people are coming, and because of that their population is increasing. So if you want to create a country for a people, on what basis you are going to create a country? Based on population only. Then who is going to get a country? Jewish people is going to get a country. Who is going to be minority there? Palestine people is going to be minority there. That's why the Palestine people are objected for immigrants of the Jewish immigrants in the West Asia, and the British Royal Commission stopped the Jewish immigration in 1936. Okay, that's what. Okay. So Persia, this Persia was ruled by whom? Aha Khan Ahamanullah. That was the king of Persia after the First World War. Under this Aha Khan, Ahamanullah Aha Khan, there was a military general. His name was Reza Khan. Reza Khan. He was a Reza Khan. that is a military general. He was a military general of Persian army. He was a military general of the Persian army. What British did it here was, the British in the Iran, they found oil. But this man, Aga Khan Ahamanullah, was a very, very, very good man. He objected for taking of oil by the British. The British wanted the oil from Iran, but this Khan, Aga Khan Ahamanullah, not accepting for giving oil to British. So automatically what British did it was, they brought a coup here. They brought a coup here in Persia, and they brought a coup. Actually, the coup was not by British directly, and the coup was done by Reza Khan, and Reza Khan was supported by the Britishers here in the 1925, and the Reza Khan, military general, captured Aga Khan Ahamanullah, and he drive out Aga Khan Ahamanullah. So simply, the king was driven out of Persia, and Reza Khan became the king of Persia, but he never called it, he called it as Persia, and that is called as Iran. Once Reza Khan became the king of Persia, that is the Iran, he signed an agreement with the British that is called Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. This Anglo-Iranian Oil Company was created by British, and they are taking oil from Iran. So Iranian oil was taken by British, and which was supported by Reza Khan. For that purpose only, Reza Khan was blessed to become the king here in the independent, that was in the case of the Persia, that is Iran. This Reza Khan only we called him as a Shah dynasty, Pahlavi dynasty, Shah, the Shahs of Persia. This is what we called him. Okay. So what happened in the West Asia? In the West Asia, British mandate, French mandate, and Iraq was created. Iraq was born in 1936. In 1925, that was Iran. Change of power in Iran. And what happened in another country? In the Saudi Arabia, the monarch, they created the monarchy under the leadership of Saud. So that is called Saudi Arabian monarchy. So in Saudi Arabia, they created the different tribal groups come together, and they formed a monarchy that is called Saudi monarchy. There were 7 important tribal groups in Saudi Arabia, and all these 7 tribal groups come together and they formed a monarchy, and they are changing the kingship among these 7 tribal groups. If there is one tribal group, from one tribal group, if they are choosing a king, other one defense minister, other one education minister, other one would be the police minister, like that they keep on rotating the portfolios and the kingship among themselves. There is always this balance of power is always there in the Saudi royal family. Actually, Saudi royal family is nothing but 50 years, 60 years back, that is after First World War, they were the one prominent tribal group, and they come together, and that tribal group formed the monarchy, that is a royal family. That is what we called it as a Saud royal family. In the name, they created a monarchy that is called Saudi Arabia. All these were the Sunni Islamic people, Sunni Muslims. All these were the Sunni people. But now what is the problem going on there means, actually, I told you that the kingship is always rotation, on the basis of rotation from one tribal to another group. But what happened now was, when the Saudi king died, his son became the Saudi king. Now the balance of power was completely broken. The balance of power was completely shattered. That is why other tribal groups are opposing for the young man who came to power in the Saudi royal family now. Friends, I know you know the current affairs, what is going on there in Saudi Arabia now. Friends, respond to me. Are they correct? Am I correct? Friends, you know the current affairs there. Jamal Khashoggi, that is a different one. That story is the interrelated one. That story is a interrelated one. Why the present Saudi royal family is getting opposition from every corner from the same royal family itself means the balance of power problem. The balance of power problem, what I told you now. Okay, I think so you come across these things in your current affairs. Okay, the current affairs. Your current affairs is related to the basic thing here. Basic things here. Okay, what I told you the story. Okay, clear? Friends, are you clear? Okay, coming back to here. So Persia, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq and everything. West Asia is completed. West Asia is completed. Next one, that is China. Next one, that is China. Next one, that is China. Next one, that is called China. Next one, China. Any doubts as of now? Friends, tell me any doubts as of now what we have discussed so far. We have discussed Africa. We have discussed West Asia. We have discussed Russia. Any doubt in Russia? Sorry. Any doubts here in West Asia? We have completed West Asia. Any doubts in West Asia? Can we move to China? Yes, okay. China. What happened in China during the time of the First World War? In the First World War, there was a government in south of China, that is Canton government. That was led by Dr. Sun Yat-sen. We see this man, Sun Yat-sen, during the time of Chinese Revolution around 1910. Understand? Okay. When the First World War was started, 1914, and another rival man came up in Russia. And another rival man came up in China as a contestant for Dr. Sun Yat-sen in the northern part of China, that was in Nanking. Nanking is a place. His name was Yuan Shikai. Now he was also a rival to Sun Yat-sen was emerged in the Nanking, that was called Yuan Shikai. But it was only short period of time. And he died in 1916. Understand? He was died in 1916. And China participated in the World War. From 1914 till 1918. With what expectation? China participated in the World War on the side of the Allied countries. I told you, if we support for the allied countries in the world war, the foreigners would leave out of China, like India supported for British in World War, 2 successive world wars. Because we supported for British for what purpose? If we support British, they grant independence to us, or they grant dominion status to us. Because in First World War time, we have only asking for dominion status. For that purpose only, moderators supported for the British in the First World War, dominion status. But what Britishers did, they never did anything to us. They did nothing to us. Only one thing they did, it was 1919 Act they passed. In the 1919 Act, they have increased some seats in the legislative councils, that's all. Friends, can you able to understand what I'm saying? Friends, are you understand what I'm saying? Respond? Okay. So the moderators supported for the British in getting the dominion status, but World War I ended, British granted nothing dominion status to India, and they only increased the seats in the legislative council. Same thing you apply here. The China supported for the allied countries in the World War. At the end of the World War, they are dreaming of the foreigners leaving of China, but nothing was happened. Nothing was happened. What happened instead of that? They gave the northern part of Russia. Sorry, Russia, I wrongly spelled it as. But they gave the northern part of China to Japan. That is this part, Nanjing part. And they gave that to Japan. So, the Chinese people were shocked. Dr. Sun Yat-sen was shocked. We asked for independence. We asked for leaving of you foreigners out of China. But instead of that, what you are doing? You are giving a province of China to the Japanese. How that you can do that? How you can do that? They are asking the British France in the Paris Peace Conference. But British and France was never replied for that. They told that Japan supported for the allied countries in the World War as a compensation for its support, and we are giving the province of this part of the China to the Japanese. Immediately in 1919, what happened was students, people there in China started to protest the Europeans here in China. Like British, we are opposing them. They started to oppose the Europeans here in China. That is, they started to oppose for the Britishers, Americans there, French was there, everyone was there. They are establishing the companies there. They established the companies, and they had they have some marketplaces there. So the Chinese people started to oppose them. Now China was moving to radical. That is the study the radical. They were moving towards the radical ideology was changing. By the time only in 1921, Mao Zedong participated in the Comintern, the Comintern conference. And now Mao Zedong spoke to Dr. Sun Yat-sen because both of the objective was same. Dr. Sun Yat-sen and Mao Zedong, both of them wanted to have to have the same ideology. What was the same ideology? Same objective, not ideology. Sorry. They have the same objective. What was their objective? Leaving and driving the foreigners out of China. One. The foreigners who was ruling here in China should left China. One. Next thing, China is divided into various small parts by the warlords. Like the warlords. We needed to end this warlords, and we needed to unite China, because China is not a united one. China was ruled by these warlords. Understand? Like our princely states of India. India was ruled by British one part, and the other parts are ruled by whom? Princely states, of course. And these princely states were friendly to whom? East India Company and also to the East India Company and also to the British Crown. So automatically what happened here was, like our British princely states who was ruling here in India with the support of the British. Like that, the warlords, we called them as. In India, we called princely states, but there in the China, we called them as a warlords. Understand? Okay. Now, Mao Zedong and Dr. Sun Yat-sen, both of them objective was same. Their objective was sending the foreigners out of China. One. Next one was ending the warlord problem there at China and uniting China. Uniting the China. So, both of them coming together. Who? Dr. Sun Yat-sen and Mao Zedong coming together. There in the Canton. This government of Canton is called Kuomintang. Kuomintang government. Kuomintang. I will give the spell for that. Sometimes they use G, sometimes they use K also. And that is what we called it as a Kuomintang China. Okay. Okay, we come back to here later. So, the government which was running here by Dr. Sun Yat-sen at Canton, we call that as a Kuomintang, that is a place, Kuomintang government. Okay, so Mao Zedong, understand, Mao Zedong, sorry, Mao Zedong plus Sun Yat-sen came together from 1921 till 1925. 1925. For what purpose? For what purpose? Ending warlordism. Warlordism in China. Ending warlordism in China. Next one. Ending foreign companies' rule. Ending foreign companies' rule. Foreign companies' rule or foreigners' rule. Foreign companies' rule in China. So these were the two objectives of Mao Zedong and Sun Yat-sen. Now, both Mao Zedong and Sun Yat-sen realized that, see, Mao Zedong was a communist. He was a nationalist. But the objective was the same. They were different ideology, but the objective was same. So, what they found was, if you want to end this warlordism in China, we need an army to fight against this warlordism, warlord people, princely states, because these warlords have many army with them. If we want to fight with these warlords in China, we need a strong army. So, Mao Zedong and Sun Yat-sen created the Chinese Revolutionary Army. Chinese Revolutionary Army. So, they created a Chinese Revolutionary Army. And this Chinese Revolutionary Army purpose was to fight against warlords. And who was heading this Chinese Revolutionary Army? The Chinese Revolutionary Army was headed by a man called Chiang Kai-shek. Chiang Kai-shek. It was headed by a man called Chiang Kai-shek. Friends, are you understand? Mao Zedong and Dr. Sun Yat-sen come together to ending the problem in China. Problems are what? Warlords problem, driving the foreigners out of China. So they realized one thing, we need army to unite China from the warlords problem. So we need an army. So they created an army that was called Chinese Revolutionary Army, under whose leadership? Chiang Kai-shek. Who was going to train these Chinese Revolutionary Army? USSR. Understand? Social revolution. USSR. USSR was going to train. USSR trained this army. USSR trained these Chinese Revolutionary Army to fight against the warlords and also to ending the foreigners' rule at China or foreign exploitation at China. Clear? Okay. Okay. Now what happened? Unfortunately, in 1925, Dr. Sun Yat-sen was died. Sen was died. Because of some health issues, he was died. And what happened here was, suddenly there was a vacuum. Even though Mao Zedong was there, Sun Yat-sen was a powerful figure. He was a powerful man. But suddenly there was a vacuum created there, and now Chiang Kai-shek was turned into a pro-capitalist. He became a cheater. He cheated. He was a head of Chinese Revolutionary Army to fight against warlords and the foreigners in China. But he became the supporters of capitalists. He switched his side very simply. He switched his side to the foreigners and the warlords. And now, from 1925 onwards, till 1939 of the Second World War, China was under civil war. Civil war between whom and whom? Mao Zedong. Why Mao Zedong? He was a communist. And another whom? It was Chiang Kai-shek. Because he was a pro-capitalist. Pro-capitalist means supporter of whom? He was a supporter from warlords and capitalist. So what happened here was, the Chinese Revolutionary Army, which was heading by Chiang Kai-shek, started to use to hunt down the communist. So they are arresting the communist, they are killing the communist, and they are trying to arrest Mao Zedong. So because of this, there was a scenario in China, that is the Civil War period from 1925 till 1939. Whether Civil War ended in 1939, you are asking. No, the Civil War not ended. But in 1939, World War II started. By 1941, Japan invaded in China. When a third enemy is invading into China, both the Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek coming together, and they are fighting against the Japanese. You can ask how they come together. In India, we also supported British during the time of the Second World War, because we found that Nazism and fascism is more dangerous enemy than the British imperialism. So Indian National Congress supported for whom? For British in the Second World War. Apply the same concept here. Because Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek, here it is our local problem. Our another third enemy is coming towards China. And if I keep on fighting ourselves, the third enemy occupy entire China. So we must not leave chance for that. So in 1941, in the middle of the Second World War, Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek come together and join hands. So the communists and the armies, Soviet revolutionary, Chinese revolutionary armies of Chiang Kai-shek fight against Japanese, and they drive the Japanese out of China by 1945. By 1945. So Japan was defeated in the World War II. Japan defeated in World War II. What happened after that? So third enemy is defeated. Once again the problem came to them, whether you are going to be my friend or enemy. Who is going to rule China? Mao, myself, or Chiang Kai-shek, yourself? And once again the civil war started in China till 1949. That is 45 to 1939. Once again civil war in China. Civil war in China. We call this era as a Chinese Revolution. Chinese Revolution. 1945 to 1949. Chinese Revolution. And with this Chinese Revolution, what happened? Mao Zedong captured power, and he formed People's Republic of China. And Chiang Kai-shek went to a nearby island, that is what we call now as a Taiwan government. And he formed a Chinese government at Taiwan. So Mao Zedong won the Chinese Revolution in 1949, and Chiang Kai-shek ran out of China and he settled in the nearby island, that is what we call the Taiwan island, and that is what we call today the Taiwan government. In China, they formed the People's Republic of China by Mao Zedong in 1949, and Mao became the president of China. So this is what happened at China after the First World War and after Second World War. I proceeded up to Second World War. Friends, are you understand? I summarize now. What happened in China after the First World War? After First World War, at the Paris conference, they gave a portion of China to the Japan. Because of that, the people protested. Once again, China was in problem. That was the foreigners are still ruling China and exploiting China. Warlords had divided China into various provinces. So it was an ununited China. So Mao Zedong, by the time, participated in the Comintern conference and he came back to China. Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek and Dr. Sun Yat-sen have, with the same objective, come together of ending the warlord problem in China by uniting China and by ending the foreign exploitation in China. So they found that they needed an army. So they created an army that is called Chinese Revolutionary Army, that was trained by Soviet Russia, and that army was headed by Chiang Kai-shek. Unfortunately, in 1925, Dr. Sun Yat-sen was died. With the death of Sun Yat-sen, there was a vacuum. Suddenly, Chiang Kai-shek switched his side from Mao Zedong to the capitalist side. So he became a capitalist. He became a pro-capitalist, supporter of capitalist. Now, Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong are fighting with each other. Communism versus capitalism. So that is the Chinese Civil War era. That Civil War Civil War continued till 1939. But no win-win situation for both the sides. When Japan invaded into China, they realized their mistake and they come together and fight against the Japanese. Once Japanese were defeated in the Second World War, once again the problem comes up in 1945, and once again Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong fighted to each other, and that is what we call the Chinese Revolution. In this Chinese Revolution, Mao Zedong won the Chinese Revolution and he established the People's Republic of China there, and Chiang Kai-shek ran to a nearby island of China, that is the Taiwan, and that is what we call the Taiwan government there. Okay. Sir, PRC is communist and ROC is pro-capitalist. Am I right? What is that ROC? What is that PRC? I am not able to get it. One person have. PRC is a communist and what is that ROC? Oh, you are asking about present China. Present China is a capitalist. Their political ideology is communism. Their economic ideology today is capitalism. How Chiang Kai-shek got veto power in US? Is he very much influences the world power? No, I have entered in the Second World War. I will tell you these questions later. Now, not now. Veto power and other thing I will tell you later during the Cold War time. During the Cold War time, I will explain these things. Wait. Okay. Wait. So this is what happened in the case of China. China is completed. I have summarized China also. No, sir. Taiwan. Okay. You are asking for Taiwan, Republic of China. Okay, I will tell you. Wait. That I come, the Taiwan problem I come up with during the time of the Cold War. Not now. Not now. Suez Canal is pending, sir. When we can expect to cover it up? No, Suez Canal is not going to take up now. Suez Canal problem I can take up there during the time of the I will take up during the time of the Cold War, not now. Wait. Don't worry, I will cover the Suez Canal during the time of the Second World War, that during the time of the Cold War. Wait. Suez Canal problem I will deal during the time of Cold War. Taiwan I will tell you during the Cold War, not now. We have entered only with the World War II. We have not entered in Cold War. Once I deal with the Cold War, you can able to see, understand it. Okay, clear? Okay. So China is over. China is over. Now we see the Southeast Asia. Now we see the Southeast Asia. Now we see the Southeast Asia map. Okay. Friends, we can have a break of 5 minutes. Friends, we can have a break of 5 minutes and then we resume the class. Now it is 3:45, I think so. We can start by 3:50. Yes, coming back. Friends, coming back. So, Southeast Asia. Friends, Southeast Asia. First one, Philippines. As we see, the first one is Philippines. Who was the imperialist country here? United States of America. United States of America was the imperialist country here in Philippines. And after the First World War, what happened here? So after the First World War, there was a emerging Filipino nationalism. Filipino nationalism. Why this Filipino nationalism was emerging here in Philippines? The Filipino nationalism was against the exploitation of resources. Against the exploitation of resources. So, in Philippines, after the First World War, there was the Filipino nationalism against the exploitation of the resources of Philippines people, and they are demanding for internal autonomy. Internal autonomy. What is that internal autonomy? Independence in certain areas, certain things. Independence in certain things. For dominion status, what the moderators asked in the first phase of the national movement till 1925, moderates asked for dominion status. That is what, like internal autonomy. And the Filipino people are asking for the internal autonomy, that is Filipino nationalism, against the exploitation of the resources. What the US government did it here? At last the US government have the internal autonomy in 1936. Internal autonomy was granted to Philippines in 1936. What is that internal autonomy? Except defense, except external affairs, except communication, left all these things for the Philippines people. US kept the defense, US kept the communication, US kept the external affairs, defense, external affairs and communication. Entire rest of the thing was given to the Philippines people to govern themselves. They can govern themselves in education, they can govern themselves in health, they can govern themselves in agriculture, but not in defense. Not in defense. Philippines was denied to form a army, because in case if the Philippines people have an army, they will protest against the US. So that's why defense, external affairs and communication was denied for the Philippines people under the internal autonomy, and so they granted with the internal autonomy in 1936 in rest of the area. In 1936. So in Philippines, because of emerging Filipino nationalism, internal autonomy was granted in 1936. Clear? Okay. Next one. Indonesia. The Indonesia. What happened in Indonesia after that? In 1920, Communist Party of Indonesia was started. Communist Party. The Communist Party of Indonesia. The Communist Party of Indonesia was started by Sukarno. Sorry, 21, not in 20. 21. In 21, Communist Party of Indonesia was started by Sukarno. Later, in 1927, other small parties was there, like Modern India Communist Party, Communist Socialist Party. We have got many small parties are there, Agriculture Party, all these things. So what happened here in Indonesia was, all these small parties were gathered together along with the Communist Party. In 1927, they formed National Front or National Party. and that national party was headed by Sukarno. Sukarno was a leader of the Communist Party, but 1927 all small parties in Indonesia gathered together under the Communist Party and they formed a national party. And what the objective of this national party? Independence of Indonesia. Independence of Indonesia. Independence of Indonesia from Dutch. From Dutch. So in Indonesia, sir, still Philippines don't have army. No, that was not the case. Philippines after Second World War, the US left it and the Philippines people are having the army now. Philippines after Second World War, the scenario was completely going to change. Don't worry. So, independence of Indonesia from Dutch. And that was led by whom? National Party, which was headed by Sukarno. So, in Indonesia, independence movement from the Dutch was started. Understand? Independence movement was started in Indonesia against the Dutch. Clear? Okay. Okay. Next one. Malaysia. Nothing important there. Nothing much important there. That was Malaysia. There was nothing much important there. Okay. British was still ruling there. No any resistance movement for the British there. Okay. So we leave Malaysia there. And Indochina. Next thing. Indochina. This Indochina. What happened here in Indochina? In Indochina, two development took place. One is Vietnamese Communist Party was formed. Vietnamese Communist Party was formed. Vietnamese Communist Party was started. And now this Vietnamese Communist Party started Vietnamese Revolutionary Army. Vietnamese Socialist Revolutionary Army. Who was heading this Vietnamese Socialist Revolutionary Army and Vietnamese Communist Party? This was headed by Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh. So Ho Chi Minh, who participated in the Comintern, Communist International Conference, established a Communist Party here. Vietnamese Communist Party. And what was the objective of this Communist Party? The objective of this Communist Party to form an army and to fight against France, which was ruling Indochina. So they want to liberate Indochina from France. Liberation of Indochina from France. Liberation of Indochina from France. Liberation of Indochina from France. So they have the Vietnam Socialist Revolutionary Army. This revolutionary army was fighting against France to liberate France, to liberate Indochina from the France. Okay. So the new development in Indochina region was spread of communism, one. Second one, Vietnamese Communist Party. And the third one, Vietnamese Revolutionary Army fighting against France for the liberation of Indochina from the France. Okay. So that is in the case of Indochina. That is in the case of Indochina. We know Indochina, Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam combined together. Okay. Next one, we are moving to Burma. Next one, we are moving towards Burma. Okay, I can use the board now. Burma. What happened in Burma? In Burma, three development took place. Three developments. One they formed a Young Men Buddhist Association. Young Men Buddhist Association. Young Men Buddhist Association was formed. What was the purpose of this association after the First World War? Gathering platform for all Burmese people for the Burmese independence. For the Burmese independence. Understand? Gathering platform for all Burmese people for the Burmese independence. From whom? From the British. So, Young Men Buddhist Association, it is open for all. Even though its name is a Buddhist association, majority of the people there in Burma, Myanmar, was Buddhist only. So they formed a Buddhist association. It was a peaceful association. It was not a violent one, understand. Since it have the ideology of Buddhism, it never went into a violent way. It never went into a violent way. It is a non-violent way. It is a non-violent protest for the Burmese independence. That association was started by whom? Young Buddhist people. That is called Young Men Buddhist Association. But another group was formed, and that was very, very radical. That was Tankins. They called themselves as Tankins. Sons of Soil concept. Sons of Soil concept. Their slogan was Burma for Burmese. Burma for Burmese. Why they are using the word Burma for Burmese? Tankins are using the word Burma for Burmese because Burma was a colony of British. People from India migrated to Burma. We know many Tamil peoples are settled in Burma. You know that history. When Second World War was started, particularly the Tamil peoples was there. When the Second World War was started, when the Japanese bombarded the Burma, British left Burma, and all the Tamil peoples and the Indians who went and settled there in Burma left everything and they came back to India with empty hand. They became the wealthy people in Burma, but they left everything and they keep their life and ran out of Burma, and they came back to India, and they came back to the mother state that was in Tamil Nadu and other area, Andhra. They came back during the time of the Second World War. That was a big story. That was a big story. You know about that. Have you heard of those stories, people? Have you heard of those incidents? Friends, are you heard of it or not? Have you heard of it or not? Anyone is responding or not? Friends, what happened? No one is responding, nothing. Yes, someone is saying yes, someone is saying no, no, no. Majority of the people saying no, 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 no. See, many Tamil people went there and settled there in Burma, and they became the wealthy people. They became the exporters, particularly the people from Tamil Nadu. They did lot of export, because Burma is known for what? Burma is known for wood, teak wood, rose wood, and like this kind of wood. And they exported that wood from Burma to other parts of Southeast Asia and to India, and they became wealthy people. When Japan invaded during the time of the Second World War, they left all the property and they left everything house there, and they came back to India with an empty hand, and they became a pauper here. Pauper means beggars, like beggars there, beggars here in India. And those people, they left because multi-billionaires and millionaires from Burma became a beggars here in India. They turned as a beggars here in India. So that was the story of those people. Okay. And now what these Tankins are saying, because many foreigners, for Burmese people, Tamilians, Andhra people, and Indians, Bangladeshis, Bengali people, Assami people, these were the foreigners, and they settled there, and they started to use and they used Burma for their own resource, for their own exploitation. And now they are turning the concept that is called Tankins, son of the soil, Burma for the Burmese only. Now they are coming up with a slogan against the British also. They are using that is, even if British left, Burma is only for the British, sorry, Burma is only for the Burmese people, not for any other. So only Burmese should present in Burma, not any outsiders should be there. So that is what used by the word that is called the Tankins. Another radical group was emerging in Burma by the time after First World War, and that was the communist. The communist was emerging in Burma. Burma socialist. Socialist of Burma. The socialist of Burma. And under the leadership of Aung San. Who is this Aung San? This man Aung San is nothing but, you heard of Aung San Suu Kyi. Aung San Suu Kyi, the Nobel Prize winner of Burma, who was kept under prison by very long period of time by the Burmese military. Aung San Suu Kyi. And this man Aung San is the father of Aung San Suu Kyi. Aung San Suu Kyi. Okay. And this Aung San was a socialist of Burma. That is, socialist man, USSR support. Communism has spreaded here in Burma. Communism was spread here in Burma. Why? How? Suppression by British. Colony of British, automatically. Okay. Now USSR is also trying to bring social revolution here in Burma. Okay. So that was a new thing that was happened here in the Burma. Young Men Buddhist Association, open for all. Yeah, very peaceful protest movement. And against that, a radical one, that was Sons of a Soil, Burma for the Burmese, Tankins was emerging. And the third one, socialism is emerging, communism is emerging here under Aung San with the support of USSR. What Britishers did it? Britishers at last in 1935 Act, Government of India Act. I think you come across that in modern India. 1935 Government of India Act separated Burma from India. So in 1936, they separated Burma. They separated Burma from India, and they brought under British Crown. They brought it under the British Crown. Understand? So Burma was separated from British, and they brought under, Burma was separated from India, and they brought under British Crown directly in 1936. Okay, that is what the case of Burma. One more thing, Sri Lanka. What happened in Sri Lanka after First World War? After the First World War, the British granted constitution. The British granted constitution. The Britishers granted constitution for the Sinhalese people. Sinhalese people. So based on this constitution, there was an election. In Sri Lanka. And with this election, they formed a government that is 1936 Sri Lankan government. This Sri Lankan government was a pro-British government. So it was not a complete independence. Understand? It was only the internal autonomy. Like Philippines, internal autonomy. Partial independence. internal autonomy. They can form government except British. Sorry, they can form. They can govern themselves except defense, communication, and external affairs. Rest of the thing they govern by themselves. So in Sri Lanka, internal autonomy was granted to the Sinhalese people in 1936. That is the only thing. Clear? Okay, Southeast Asia completed. Anything we left? Anything we left? In we have Germany, Italy. That is a different one. Anything we need to see? Anything we have to see, friends? Friends, tell me anything we have to complete. Only thing is, no, India. It is modern India. No, India. We are not going to discuss. It is modern India only. We are not going to discuss anything India here because that is a modern India. Very good. We have need to yes. Thanks for the thing. Japan we need to conclude. Japan we need to see. Japan. The last thing in Asia is Japan. 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 Okay. I will show you the map. Okay, that is Japan. Okay. Okay. Friends, understand here. See, Japanese islands are very, very limited. This is Japanese island, that's all. Japanese islands are that much, that's all. But what the problem for these Japanese peoples are, growing in population. They keep on growing in population. But the demand is so much, very simple. The population of Japan was keep on growing. How to satisfy the demand of the growing population? They need food, they need resources, they need to feed the industries for these Japanese industries, and they have to feed it to the Japanese population. How to keep the demand? How to keep the supply for the demand? That's why what Japan thought it was. Okay, I will come to that part later. Okay, you just keep that in mind. Okay, Japan was ruled by the emperor. Japan was ruled by the emperor. Japan was ruled by the emperor, and that emperor was in the divine theory. Divine theory. We know what is meant by divine theory. Son of God. The son of the God concept. The emperor was a divine theory. But what problem here in Japan was, but this Japan, in this Japan, but what was the problem here in this Japan was, in this Japan, see here, the social structure was shogunate class. This one, elite warrior class. Below them, there were another 3 warrior class. See here, shogunate was elite among the elites. Elite among the elites. Among the elites. Below the shogunate class, daimyo, samurai, ronin. These were also the warlord group. Warlord group. This shogunate was the elite warlord group. Elite warlord group. Below the shogunate, daimyo, samurai, ronin. Below these warlord groups only, warrior class. Below this warrior class, peasant, artisan, merchant, they have nothing to say. They have nothing to say in the society socially or economically. Everything was in the hand of the shogunate and the warlord group. But the power struggle was between the shogunate and other three groups. Three groups on the shogunate. What? For what purpose? For controlling the resources. What is the resources here? Land. And the next one, who is to control the emperor? I will tell you one example to you. You can able to understand it. In modern India, Maratha Empire, who was the elite member in the Maratha Empire? Who was the elite in the Maratha Empire? Friends, tell me, who was the elite in the Maratha Empire? Who was the elite in the Maratha Empire? Peshwa. Very good, Peshwa. But if you see the structure of the Maratha Empire and the Maratha administration, Peshwa Prime Minister, other Maratha power was also there. Gaikwad, Bhonsle, Scindia, like this. Bhonsle, Gaikwad, Scindia, Holkar, all these Maratha Sardars are there. But the power struggle was between whom and whom? Peshwa on one side, other Maratha Sardars on other side. Who? Why? To control the emperor. One who controlled the emperor became the most powerful group in the Maratha Empire. Friends, can you able to understand what I am saying? Friends, can you able to understand what I am saying? Are you understand? Can you able to understand what I am saying? One who controlled the Maratha emperor, Peshwa, became the most powerful man than other. Same thing apply here. If the shogunate class is controlling the emperor, they would decide the kingmaker. They would decide the emperor who is to become emperor and keeping the emperor under their control. So if they keep the emperor under their control and they become the shadow emperor, who? The shogunate class. So that was not accepted by these three groups, daimyo, samurai, ronin and other thing. So there was a war, there was a keep on warlord struggle between the shogunate and the other three. This was continued historically there in Japan. And in 1858, shogunate class was defeated. The shogunate class was defeated. And now daimyo, samurai, ronin have won the war struggle. And what they did it was, they have allowed the emperor to rule independently. They relieved the emperor from the shogunate's elite class. This incident, where the emperor was released from the shogunate power class, warlord group control, is considered to be as Meiji restoration. Simple, friends, very, very simple. Shogunate only keeping the emperor under their control. This is not liked by other three groups. This is what the struggle went on. At one point in 1858, these three groups combined together and defeated the shogunate class. That's all. Shogunate class is ended. And now what they did it was, emperor, you rule by yourself. We are accepting you as an emperor and we are respecting you. And you are the only emperor for we all people of Japanese. These people all accepted. And this position where they accepted emperor as a all-powerful emperor for the entire Japanese people, that is, we called it as a Meiji restoration. That was in 1858. Understand it? That is called Meiji Restoration. Okay. What happened after this one? After this Meiji Restoration, after this Meiji Restoration in 1858, in the 1860, the United States of American commander, one fellow with a name called Commander Perry came to Japan. What was his mission to visit Japan? He asked Japan to have trade relation with the United States of America. He asked for Japan to have a trade relation. So far, till the arrival of this Commander Perry, there was no any trade relation between Japan and any other country, because Japan thought that allowing foreigners inside Japan or to trade is dangerous for Japan. Like Chinese, they felt it. They had a fear. And now Japan, USA is asking for trade relation with Japan. What the emperor did it was, and the Japanese emperor accepted for this. And immediately Japan and USA had a trade relation after 1860s. Because of this trade relation and other thing, USA transferred the technology. To Japan. And after that, what happened was Japan emerged as a industrialized country. So the first Asian country to become industrialized. In the 20th century, the first Asian country to become industrialized. The first Asian country to become industrialized. Okay. This is what happened in Japan till First World War. What happened in the World War? 1914 World War started. 1918 World War ended. Japan became the supporters of the Allied country in World War. Japan became the supporters of the Allied country, and it benefited colonies. It benefited German colonies. All German colonies became the possession of Japan. Because Germany was defeated in First World War. So German colonies became possession of Japan in Asia. And now what Japan thought that was the victory for Japan in the First World War was because of the military victory. So victory for Japan in World War I was because of army. So after World War 1919 to 1939 of World War II, what Japan did it was slowly it became a military state. You can ask a question, sir, there was a king. What happened to that king? The king was there, but the king was for only name. He was a puppet in the hand of the military, because everything was slowly taken over by military. Why military slowly taken over? Because of the ideology of the military state. Why they became the ideology of the military state? Because Japanese victory in the World War I was because of army. So successful army can able to expand Japan. Why Japanese need to expand? Because that is what the picture I show you in the very beginning. That was Japan was a limited island. To meet the demand of Japan, only Japan need to expand in all direction. If Japan expanded in all direction, we can able to gather resource, we can able to meet the demand of our people. Then how that is to expand? So army can only possible for the expansion. So if we want to expand, only military success is necessary. So if we want to success militarily, then we need to become a military state. That is why Japan became a military state. That is why Japan became the military state. Friends, are you able to understand what is the concept there? Can you able to understand it now? So after First World War, what happened in Japan means Japan became a military state. That's all. Japan became the military state. Became the military state. Okay. So we have ended the world between the wars. Only two things is there. One is Germany and the another one is Italy. We see that in the next class. Okay, it is 9:25. I am going for the doubt clarification session. The class today is over. I am going for the doubt clarification session. Anyone having any doubt, you can ask the doubt now. Today we have ended with the world between the wars. In the world between the wars, we have only two things remaining. One is Germany and Italy. Next class we see Germany and Italy and directly go for Second World War. Next class we see Germany, Italy and World War II. Clear? Anyone having any doubt, you can ask me now. Connect பண்ணுங்க.
Good evening, sir.
சொல்லுங்க சிவபிரியா.
Sir, my doubt is regarding corporatization, sir, in new economic policy. What is meant by corporatization, sir?
Corporatization, people coming together to form a group and they can produces either agriculture or anything, cattle rearing or anything by themselves. That is what we called it as a corporatization. The name itself is giving meaning to you. Cooperative. It means cooperating by the people themselves. State would facilitate, either a state would facilitate monetarily or it would give aid to the cooperatives for the people to form the cooperative societies. State allowing the people to form a group. That is what we call it as a corporatization.
So this is similar to Cooperative Society of India, sir. Now we are having.
Yes, same.
Thank you, sir. That's all, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Kishore. Tell me, yes.
Sir, for all these current classes, the world between the war, World War and World War II, can we able to follow the same book or we need to refer a different book, sir?
Kishore, I'm not able to get you clearly because voice.
No, sir. As you told earlier, we can follow the Arjun Dev book of modern world history. The same book we need to follow for it. Or is there any separate book available on the new topics, sir? World between the war.
What book referring? Modern World History by Norman Lowe.
Arjun. No, Arjun Dev, sir. Arjun Dev.
That is enough. That is, if you have Arjun Dev textbook, the publication by Orient Black Swan you are having.
No, sir. Actually, I'm following that PDF notes.
Okay, no problem. That's fine. That's good. You follow the class notes and SIA material. Otherwise, you follow NCRT. You follow either one. That is enough. No problem.
Sir, can I able to get the old NCRT at Institute, sir?
No, that is available in the download itself. Free download itself, we can get it.
No. I'm asking for the hard copy book, sir, not for a soft copy. I'm asking for a hard copy.
Hard copy is hardly available, I think so, because that is the printing was stopped by the government a very long period of time. So we don't have any publication for that. Xerox copies are available in the bookmark, I think so, for that.
Okay, sir. One small doubt, sir. Can we expect any commencement of the offline classes because the government has removed the restrictions?
That is only announced by the government yesterday only. Today, the Sunday, there is no any staffs here. We discussed that in the academic side, or only they would discuss, and any possibility means I don't know what is the thing. They will announce you or posted you in your telegram group or in your group. That would be possible of 2 or 3 days only. We don't know what is the situation.
Okay, sir.
After that,
Okay,
the
sir. Thanks.
management will take some decision. After that only they will communicate to you. Definitely they will communicate to you whatever the decision they are taking.
Okay, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thanks. Whether Norman Loewe is essential? No, Norman Loewe is not essential. Norman Loewe is not necessary for GS people. If you are taking world history, if you are taking history as an optional, then Norman Loewe is essential. Anyone having any doubt? I am closing up the session now. I am closing the session. Okay, no one is having any doubt. Everyone leave now, I think so. Thank you. We will meet in the next class. I am closing the session. Thank you very much.